Okay, let's make some bread. I have a bread machine, and the first thing you want to do is put the paddle. It'll fit in the bottom. It'll only go in one way. You'll need a cup and a half of water between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll put that in. Then you're going to want to put your butter in. And you need 3 tablespoons of butter. Which you'll put right down in the water. I cut mine up into several pieces. It's like 6 pieces. And I just put it in the water. You want your butter at room temperature. All right. And if you put a little bit more butter than 3 tablespoons, it'll be fine. Now you can use bread flour if you want. Me, today I'm just going to use just plain old all-purpose flour. It's not a really cheap brand, but it's not an expensive brand either. It's just your run-of-the-mill all-purpose flour. You'll need, for what I'm making is a large 2-pound loaf. So the measurements I'm giving her for that. So the next thing I'll do is put my flour in, and I'm gonna need four cups, which I'm measuring that out right now. Don't have to be sifted. Just leveled. You can level it with a knife. But you're going to want pretty close to exactly 4 cups for this size. I've got my 4 cups of flour in now. I forgot to mention that before I put my flour in, I had put 3 teaspoons of sugar, or you can use honey or any other sweetener. I also put in a teaspoon and a half of pink Himalayan salt, because that's what I use, is the Himalayan salt. This salt I used here, it's the fine ground. Now I've got my flour in. What you'll want to do is take something and just press down in the center of the flour, and you're making a well. And then you're going to take and you're going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of quick rising yeast, the active dry yeast, instant, or you can use the bread machine yeast. Yeast is pretty much the same. Now once you've done all that, I always pick my things up. We're ready to go ahead and put this in the bread machine. Now, one thing I will say, if I was using bread flour, I would measure out my 4 cups of flour, and then before I make the well in my container for the bread machine, I would add a 1/2 cup, or a 1/4 of a cup of non-dry milk. But I'm not using bread flour, so I'm not adding the dry milk. I don't need it. So now what you'll do, and I need to move this so you can see, the bread machine, you'll open it up and you just put this container down inside the bread machine and just push on it until it snaps into place. And this bread machine is a Cuisinart, which I've had good luck with this machine. You can make any type of bread you want. You can make jellies, jams, dinner rolls. It's just whatever you want. But I have a menu list over here, and what I want to do is, the bread I'm making today is just a white bread, a sandwich bread. So I'm gonna go over here to the menu, and at the very top on the menu it says white, and that's what I want. So I will plug this bread machine in when I find the plug. There, it's plugged in. There, you heard it go off. Now I'm gonna go over here to the menu button, and I'm gonna go through the menu. There's 16 different settings, but I need setting 1. So that's set. Now for the crust, you have a light crust, a medium, and a dark crust. But this being sandwich bread, I just want the light crust. So on the button that says crust, I will just push that button until it lights up the place where it says light. Now, there's 3 different loaf sizes on this machine. This machine has a 1 pound, a 1.5 pound, and a 2 pound. And like I said, I'm making the 2 pound. So I will push the loaf button until it's on 2 pounds. Now, this machine is going to knead it, let it rise, then it's going to knead it again, let it rise, and then it's going to bake it. but I have an option at 1 hour and I believe it's 36 seconds. It'll beep, but at that point I can take and open it up. I just pause it, open it up, and I can take the paddle out and then close the machine back up and go ahead and take it off pause. And then after the dough rises far enough, then it'll bake it, which is nice, because then you don't have to dig that paddle out of your bread. Or if you're not home and you want to start this bread machine and go to town, do whatever you want to do in town, you can do that, and you can get the paddle out of the bread when it's done. It's not that big a deal to do. I just don't like the paddle being in my bread. But it's nice because you can just, like I'm doing right now, just set it, plug it up, and hit the start button, and just leave it. And this size loaf, to do everything, bake it, and it's completely done, it's going to take right at 3 hours. Which, if you're like me and you're busy, you have other things to do, then for me that's good enough. 3 hours. I'm not in that big a hurry to have a loaf of bread, but I do like homemade bread. Now, sometimes if I have the time, I will use this machine just to knead and let my bread rise. And at the point where it's where I can take the paddle out of my dough, a lot of times I'll just go ahead, and that's where I'll stop using the machine, and I'll go ahead and divide the loaf up and put it in a couple loaf pans and just go ahead and bake it in the oven. But me, I stay pretty busy. I have a lot of work here I have to do, so it's convenient for me. Like I said, I can just forget it, other than taking the paddle out. But that gives me 3 hours I can work, and even if I'm busy and I can't get back to it right away, it will stay on a warming cycle to keep it warm, if you like fresh warm bread, for an additional hour. So that's great too. So that's all I have for today. I hope this is informative. Depending on your type of schedule, it might be something you might consider purchasing. If you do want to buy one, they're not expensive. You can buy one new for around $100, maybe a little bit more, depending on the model you buy. I mean, I'm sure you could get bread machines that are up around $250, but this one is somewhere around $100, maybe a little bit more. I've had it for over a year, so I'm not sure what it would sell for now. If that's out of your budget, you can also go to secondhand stores, places like that, and you can find bread machines that are perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're older models, and they work basically the same way. There's not much different than the new models, and you can pick one up anywhere from $10 to $25. So that might be an option available to you also. So I hope you've liked this video, and if you have, I hope you've liked this video. If you would, please hit like and subscribe. I'll try to get some more videos. Just be patient with me. Like I said, I'm kind of busy. I don't have time to do this too much, but there are some things that if you're retired like me, or you're alone, or live alone, widowed, widower, whatever the case might be, maybe videos like this might be able to help you. Sometimes I just don't want to spend the gas to go to town, or it's getting close to the end of the month and my funds are a little bit stretched. So anything that can save you a little bit of money or help you get by a little bit easier, I hope I can inform you. So that's the type of videos I'm going to try to put out on YouTube. Just a common person's video. I'm not doing a full-scale production trying to make money doing this. I'm just trying to inform people that you can live comfortable on a modest budget. You don't have to impress nobody. You don't have to keep up with the Jones. You don't have to keep working till you just die. You can retire and stay busy and do the things that you wanted to do when you were working but couldn't because you had to work. And then when you did have vacation time, unfortunately, you had to work repairing the house, doing things that you couldn't do before because you were busy working, having to pay for your kids' college, for your wife's needs. Unless you were fortunate enough to have a wife with a career, that helps a lot. But some of us never had that. Also, maybe, well, that's all I have. Until next time, peace out.